join us in singing the gathering song. It's hymn number 557 in your hymnals. Might be a little unfamiliar, but it's a great tune and great message, so check it out.
Good morning, church. Good morning. All right, welcome back, welcome back. It's good to see you, choir. Yeah. So, happy Mother's Day if you identify as a mother, like I do, or you're a bonus mom, like I am. And we just want you to know you're welcome here, if that's how you show up today. And if today is a conflicted day, or that greeting is something that brings up challenging feelings, you're still welcome here. If thinking about your parents or considering that relationship feels like one of grief, you're welcome here. If you are seeking a space and community where you can learn to reparent yourself in a loving way, in the ways that maybe you hadn't received when you were a child, you're welcome here. Wherever you come from and whoever you are and however you identify, this morning you are welcome here. My name is Jessica Shine, and I have the privilege of serving as Associate Minister for First Congregational here. And I want to thank you for joining us. And if you're joining us by video, welcome as well. You can learn more about our ministry by going to our website, fcceugene.org. Welcome to new visitors and old friends. Welcome to all who are seeking a church home, who need strength and who want to follow in the ways of love. Welcome to old and young believers and questioners and questioning believers. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you find yourself on life's journey, you're welcome here. And you're welcome here today as we reflect on and consider all the ways that our shared mother has provided for us and continues to provide for us today. So thank you especially to the Green Team for their service in planning our worship experience this morning. I hope it's thought-provoking for you, soul-stirring, and will seem to you and be received by you as another call to action. I want to invite you to consider, not during the service, but after the bulletin insert. There's plenty of other fun things happening today. But just so you know, there's some great announcements in there. You can check that out later. Also want to remind you to silence your cell phones. We've got some wonderful music today, so we don't need more accompaniment. Or as one of my colleagues likes to say, just set your phone to stun. I wondered if you'd get that. All right. There's also hearing devices available, so if you're having trouble with that, go to the back and check in with Brent Arnold. And if you don't know what I just said, maybe your neighbor will lean over and point you in that, just making sure we're all here. If this is your first time or you're new here with us at FCC, I invite you to fill out one of these blue cards that's in the pew rack. Let us know you're here. We'd love to give you a personal welcome and put this in the offering plate at the end of the service today. Also want to mention that next Sunday and this Sunday after the service, we'll be selling Bob Welch's books. This is in preparation for the new series that's going to be started by our adult ed class. So that series is going to start next Sunday, but if you're interested in purchasing Bob's book, Cross Purposes, they'll be for sale just after the service today and then again next Sunday. So you're welcome to that. Right now, I want to invite our young people forward. So if you are a young person, a child, a student, I want to invite you to come forward and have a seat on the steps here. We've got some special blessing for you. Go ahead and come on up. Awesome, awesome. I love your mask and your boots. All right. You just go where you want. You can come sit right here if you'd like. Scoot up a little bit here. Thank you, Miss Gretchen. No, thanks though. That was awesome. I'm just making up my own service today, like I typically do. Thanks. Hello. Well, just entertain yourselves for a second here. Those of us who are capable of reading are going to do a little bit of talking right now. In fact, this actually leads into what we're going to be doing with you, because we're going to be doing a blessing in a second. And blessing, well, I'll tell you when we get there. Okay, those of us who have a bulletin, let's read our call to worship together. Beth, would you come and lead us in that?
So please join me in the call for worship from Isaiah 35. The wilderness and the dry land shall be glad. The desert shall rejoice and blossom. Like the crocus, it shall blossom abundantly. And we will rejoice and sing.
to scoot up just a little bit here, close to the stairs. Thank you so much. And thank you, Miss Gretchen, for reminding me where we were at. Okay, anybody by show of hands know what a blessing means? Oh, all right, tell me. A gift? I like that. Did you have another definition? Or was it you that raised your hand? No. Okay. Anybody else? Any idea what a blessing might be? Well, let me tell you. So the ancient word is actually two words. It means good and words. So it's when someone says good words over you. It can be a gift, yes, a physical gift that you received, but it can also be when someone just literally speaks over you. I hope you have a great day today. Did you ever have your parents say that? Your moms, yeah, or your dads, or whoever is your parent? Yeah, they're offering you a blessing. And did you know in Hebrew tradition that every Shabbos begins with a blessing? That the dads in the home get their kids together, or the moms, if there's two moms, get their kids together, and they bring them to the dinner table, and they start that special day by placing their hands on them and saying, "We bless you." And then did you know they end up blessing each other and laying their hands on each other? That's how they start every week. Wouldn't it be so cool if we did that too? Well, we want to do that with you today, and we want to invite the rest of our church family to do that as well in this moment. So you're not going to come up. Don't worry. We're still in COVID times. But I want to invite you, would you just stretch your arms out? Just offering a blessing to these children. And this is a sign, right? This is a symbol. We're going to do this today. You can go ahead and put them down. You get the idea. When we get to that part in the bulletin where you see the bold print, I want to invite you to extend your hands out and read that together as we bless our young people. Today we're doing this as an act of worship, but I want to challenge you to do that every time you see one of these young people giggling and running around and squirming and being themselves. Can you do that, church? Yes. Yeah. I want to be a part of that church too. So what we're going to do today is we're going to say some good words over you. And that means we want to give you a gift. We want God to give you a gift. And we're going to acknowledge the gift that you are to us. Is that okay? Is that cool? We don't want to bless you without your permission. That's cool? Is that all right? Okay. All right, I feel like we're good. Okay. All right, so Pastor Mark, Gretchen, and Brent and myself are going to take turns in this. And then again, church, I invite you to join, lifting your hands up and extending that web of blessing. Because these children are here as a symbol, but they represent their families. And even more so, when they go out into the world, they represent their spiritual family. So you are a part of their family. You may be their earthly parent, but that blessing extends through you to whoever parented you and whoever parented you. And maybe it wasn't your earthly parent, but it was a spiritual parent. You with me? Okay, so let's extend that web of blessing today as we bless these kids. Is that all right? Okay.
Thank you, Jessica. Young and old and everyone in between, we envision a world where all live in harmony with each other and our beautiful earth. We renew our commitment together to respect the gifts that have been given to us and to use those gifts for the good of the poor and vulnerable of this earth. May our actions result in a sustainable earth for 7 future generations and beyond.
The children and youth of this congregation offer the gifts of our energy and courage, our joy of life, and our vision for the future.
Let us join with all creation and rejoice.
The elders of this congregation offer these children and youth the gifts of our wisdom, our patience, and our lessons learned from the past. We offer the gifts of stability, our resources, and our hope for the future.
Let us join with all creation and rejoice. The faith leaders of this congregation offer these children and youth the gifts of spiritual guidance, our prayers for sustenance in the midst of trials, and our encouragement to persevere. Let us join with all creation and rejoice.
Keep your hands up, church. Bless these young people as they go forth to protect the planet and preserve it for future generations. Fill their lives with a spirit of hope and courage as they face the challenges and opportunities of the world before them. Grant them joy and peace in the midst of chaos and wasteful practices. Guide them as we journey together in faith and our shared mission to love and care for a hurting world. Renew in us a vision for a beautiful and healthy earth that is sacred to all. May all the children of earth awaken, rise up, and be about the sacred healing of our home. Amen.
Here is the scripture reading for today. Psalm 96, 1 through 13. Oh, sing to the Lord a new song. Sing to the Lord, all the earth. Sing to the Lord, bless God's name. Tell of God's salvation from day to day. Declare God's glory among the nations, God's marvelous works among all the peoples. For great is the Lord and greatly to be praised. God is to be revered above all gods, for all the gods of the peoples are idols, but the Lord made the heavens. Honor and majesty are before God. Strength and beauty are in God's sanctuary. Ascribe to the Lord, O families of the peoples. Ascribe to the Lord glory and strength. Ascribe to the Lord the glory due God's name. Bring an offering and come into God's courts. Worship the Lord in holy splendor. Tremble before God, all the earth. Say among the nations, the Lord is king. The world is firmly established. It shall never be moved. God will judge the peoples with equity. Let the heavens be glad and let the earth rejoice. Let the sea roar and all that fills it. Let the field exult and everything in it. Then shall all the trees of the forest sing for joy before the Lord, for God is coming. For God is coming to judge the earth. God will judge the world with righteousness and the peoples with God's truth. Please join me in prayers of the people. For all those around the world who have lost their homes, livelihoods, and communities to the climate crisis. God, we hear our prayer. For our non-human siblings whose habitats are destroyed by the effects of greed and accumulation. For decision makers, that our choices might create a more beautiful, whole, resilient world for us all. For our church, that we might be bearers of hope and resilience in our community, a place of refuge in the midst of crisis and disaster.
The prayer of gratitude we'll read is included in Robin Wall Kimmerer's beautiful book, Braiding Sweetgrass. Kimmerer is a member of the Citizen Potawatomi Nation. I remember her lovely presence and calming cadence in a lecture at the University of Oregon. She suggested we let go of human exceptionalism and spoke of using a grammar of intimacy with the natural world. If we personalize this world, as Native peoples do, on beyond calling Mother Earth, and ascribed she or her to a river or a stream, we would be less likely to abuse, overuse, or deface this feature of the natural world. You'll hear the intimacy in this gratitude prayer. When the reader pauses after each expression, please respond with, "Now our minds are one." Today we have gathered and we see that the cycles of life continue. We've been given the duty to live in balance and harmony with each other and all living things. So now, we bring our minds together as one as we give greetings and thanks to each other as people. Now our minds are one. We are thankful to our mother, the earth, for she gives us all that we need for life. She supports our feet as we walk upon her. It gives us joy that she continues to care for us, as she has from the beginning of time. To our mother, we send greetings and thanks. Now our minds are one. We give thanks to all the waters of the world for quenching our thirst and providing us with strength. Water is life. We know its power in many forms: waterfalls and rain, mist and streams, rivers and oceans. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to the Spirit of water. Now our minds are one. We turn our minds to all the fish life in the water. They were instructed to cleanse and purify the water. They also give themselves to us as food. We're grateful that we can still find pure water. So we turn now to the fish and send our greetings and thanks. Now our minds are one. Now we turn toward the vast fields of plant life. As far as the eye can see, the plants grow, working many wonders. They sustain many life forms. With our minds gathered together, we give thanks and look forward to seeing plant life for many generations to come. Now our minds are one. With one mind, we turn to honor and thank all the food plants we harvest from the garden. Since the beginning of time, the grains, vegetables, beans, and berries have helped the people survive. Many other living things draw strength from them too. We gather all the plant foods together as one and send them a greeting of thanks. Now our minds are one.
Now we turn to all the medicine herbs of the world. From the beginning, they were instructed to take care of sickness. They are always waiting and ready to heal us. We are happy there are still among us those special few who remember how to use these plants for healing. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to the medicines and to the keepers of the medicines. Now our minds are one. We gather our minds together to send greetings and thanks to all the animal life in the world. They have many things to teach us as people. We are honored by them. They give us their lives, and so that we can live and we may use their bodies as food for our people. We see them near our homes and in the deep forests. We are glad they are still here, and we hope that it will always be so. Now our minds are one. We now turn our thoughts to the trees. The earth has many families of trees who have their own instructions and uses. Some provide us with shelter and shade, others with fruit, beauty, and other useful things. Many people of the world use a tree as a symbol of peace and strength. With one mind, we greet and thank the tree life. Now our minds are one. We put our minds together as one and thank all the birds who move and fly about over our heads. The Creator gave them beautiful songs. Each day they remind us to enjoy and appreciate life. The eagle was chosen to be their leader. To all the birds, from the smallest to the largest, we send our joyful greetings and thanks. Now our minds are one. We are thankful to the powers we know as the four winds. We hear their voices in the moving air, and they refresh us and purify the air we breathe. They help us to bring the change of seasons. From the four directions they come, bringing us messages and giving us strength. With one mind, we send our greeting and thanks to the four winds. Now our minds are one. Now we turn to the west, where our grandfathers, the thunder beings, live. With lightning and thundering voice, they bring with them the water that renews life. We bring our minds together as one to send greetings and thanks to our grandfathers, the thunder bearers. Now our minds are one.
We now send greetings and thanks to our eldest brother, the sun. Each day, without fail, he travels the sky from east to west, bringing the light of a new day. He is the source of all the fires of life. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to our brother, the sun. Now our minds are one. We put our minds together to give thanks to our oldest grandmother, the moon, who lights the nighttime sky. She is the leader of women all over the world, and she governs the movement of the ocean tides. By her changing face, we measure time, and it is the moon who watches over the arrival of children here on earth. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to our grandmother, the moon. Now our minds are one. We give thanks to the stars who are spread across the sky like jewelry. We see them in the night, helping the moon to light the darkness and bringing dew to the gardens and growing things. When we travel at night, they guide us home. With our minds gathered together as one, we send greetings and thanks to the stars. Now our minds are one. We gather our minds to greet and thank the enlightened teachers who have come to help throughout the ages. When we forget how to live in harmony, they remind us of the way we were instructed to live as people. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to these caring teachers. Now our minds are one. Now we turn our thoughts to the Creator or Great Spirit and send greetings and thanks for all the gifts of creation. Everything we need to live a good life is here on this Mother Earth. For all the love that is still around us, we gather our minds together as one and send our choicest words of greetings and thanks to the Creator. Now our minds are one. We have now arrived at the place where we end our words. Of all the things we have named, it was not our intention to leave anything out. If something was forgotten, we leave it to each individual to send such greetings and thanks in their own way. Now our minds are one.
In this silence.
Holy One, we ask for your blessing this morning in dedicating this message to our Mother Earth and to all mothers everywhere, to our mothers, our grandmothers, our godmothers, the mothers of our children, and to each one of the mothers in our midst. For their very being is the gift of love and life, and for this we sing our praises to you. Sing to the Lord a new song. Sing to the Lord all the earth. Have you ever looked down at the worship bulletin to see which hymn we'd be singing next, only to discover it's a hymn you've never heard before? And when Barb or Vicky start playing, you're not recognizing the song at all. You're unsure of when to come in, and then when you do, the notes coming from your mouth don't quite match up. I think we've all been there before. In fact, some of us might have been there this morning. Singing a new song isn't always easy. We often need someone like Jared to lead us, helping us to become in tune with the song. I want to ask this morning, are our lives in tune with Mother Earth's song? Well, with any new song, we're flexing new muscles in our vocal cords. Our minds are attempting to bring it all together. And this is also true of the new ways we seek to serve, to be the church. Isn't this really why we come to worship in the first place? To bring ourselves more in tune with the divine? As we look at Psalm 96 this morning, I want to go back first to 1 Chronicles 16, when David brought the ark to Jerusalem. David appointed Asaph and other Levites to sing praises to God. Their praise included most of Psalm 96. This suggests the possibility that Psalm 96 itself may have been the new song spoken of in the first verse. And if so, I can't help but wonder if Asaph encountered the same reaction that pastors often get when they invite their congregations to sing a new song to the Lord. Can't we just stick to the old favorites? Well, I can barely carry a tune in a bucket, so I have sympathy for those who want the old favorites. However, as important as music is, the issue goes much deeper than music. The resistance to singing a new song is almost certainly accompanied by the refusal to consider the possibility that God is capable of and is indeed doing new things. While a new song is mentioned several places in the book of Psalms, it's the invitation in Isaiah 42 that offers the most significant background for understanding the meaning of singing a new song. In verse 9, the divine voice says this: "See, the former things have come to pass, and new things I now declare." And in verses 6 and 7, the servant of the Lord, which is almost certainly to be understood as the whole people of God, has apparently been given a new identity and vocation, to be a light unto the nations. Both Psalm 96 and Isaiah 40 through 55 proclaim good news. Both call attention to God's reign. Both call for a response of joyful singing. And in both, God's work of justice is for the whole world. How then might we faithfully respond when we hear the opening invitation of Psalm 96 addressed to us? It seems there's more than just music to consider. Given the pervasive and deadly realities in our world, things like hunger, poverty, war, racial injustice, environmental degradation, will we identify where God is at work, willing and doing new things? If so, this will certainly mean to expose and name idolatry, as the psalmist does in verse 5. Idols of greed, racism, militarism, and misguided nationalism, all of which work to privilege some people at the expense of others. The praise invited in Psalm 96 is to come from all the earth, verses 1 and 9. Note also the invitation in verse 7 that is addressed to families of the peoples. In short, God wills that the whole world be set right. And this is exactly what God is depicted as doing in verses 10 through 13. I've been blessed with an amazing Old Testament professor at Eden Seminary, the Reverend Dr. Clint McCann. He's been a powerful mentor for me on my discernment journey. I draw much of my interpretation of this passage from Dr. McCann. I've learned so much from Clint over this last year, but one of the biggest takeaways I've had from his teachings has to do with the word judge. Both the words judge and judgment have taken on a negative connotation in our time and in our society. But Dr. McCann insists that a better translation of the Hebrew word for judge is to establish justice for. Just sit with that for a moment. Instead of judge, establish justice. And so as I reread the scripture with this understanding of the word judge, everything comes into focus. God is coming to establish justice on earth. God will establish justice in the world with righteousness, as it reads in the Common English Bible. God's work of setting the whole world right is greeted joyfully by a world-encompassing community of praise. The heavens, the earth, the sea, the field, all the trees of the forest. By the way, according to Dr. McCann, God's coming is not to be understood as a future event, but rather as an already occurring reality, since the Hebrew verb can be read either as an active participle or as perfect form. God's coming is an already occurring reality. Because God is in the world working to set things right in all the earth, we sing a new song. We join in God's ongoing work of setting the world right. In the Pacific Northwest, we're surrounded by magnificent beauty. We can also see the ways our mother planet is suffering. Indeed, we feel some of those ways keenly as we struggle to see and breathe through smoke, as we witness the destruction of species and habitat, as the climate surpasses a tipping point. What if we choose as a people of faith to make love of God's creation, including all of God's creatures, our new song? If we see ourselves as a part of this living, breathing entity, then how are we called to respond? How can our many hands serve to heal? The Potawatomi tribe of the Great Lakes region have a word for the verb to be. That word is Yahweh. As Robin Wall Kimmerer writes in her book Braiding Sweetgrass, which Brenda spoke of earlier, to speak of those possessed with life and spirit, we must say Yahweh. By what linguistic confluence do Yahweh of the Old Testament and Yahweh of the New World both fall from the mouths of the reverent? Isn't this just what it means to be, to have the breath of life within, to be the offspring of creation? The language reminds us of our kinship with all the animate world. Anthropologist Enrique Salmon also speaks of this indigenous ancestral wisdom, this concept of kincentricity. Kincentricity is a worldview that sees everything around us, plants, animals, rocks, wind, as our direct relatives. As Salmon says, the rain is us and we are the rain. That butte is us and we are the butte. We heard this theme in the gratitude prayer this morning, also known by the Onondaga Nation as the words that come before all else. It's a theme of reciprocity. And the truth is that human identity cannot be separated from our non-human kin. From forest ecology to the human microbiome, emerging research suggests that being human is a complicated journey made possible only by the good graces of our many companions. And the psalmist understood this. Listen again to verses 11 through 13. Let the heavens be glad and let the earth rejoice. Let the sea roar and all that fills it. Let the field exult and everything in it. Then shall all the trees of the forest sing for joy before the Lord, for he is coming. You see, for the psalmist, even the trees are part of the congregation. The good news is faith communities are responding. Congregations like St. Martin's Episcopal in Davis, California, and the Unitarian Universalists in Coralville, Iowa, are just two examples of faith communities that have already become net zero carbon models for their communities. Thousands of interfaith Power and Light congregations and supporters have pledged to have their emissions by 2030 in line with the scientific imperative. Participants are motivated by a sense of moral urgency to care for creation, to defend the future for children and the most vulnerable. So I ask today, when will First Congregational of Eugene, Oregon, join the list of net zero carbon models? We're proud of our rich progressive heritage and the many firsts of our denomination and our local church. Isn't environmental justice also an area that we desire to lead? In the documentary Serengeti Rules, we learn about keystone species. These are species that, when reintroduced to their native ecosystems, have the power to regenerate life. Wolves in Yellowstone, starfish in tide pools, sea otters in kelp forests, wildebeests in the Serengeti. When these species are reintroduced, something remarkable happens. Trees come back because the wildebeest eat the savanna grass that was burning without them. Kelp forests emerge teeming with marine life, where there were only barren urchin fields without the sea otters. All of the life in each ecosystem depends on the keystone species, and in turn, one another to thrive. All of the parts of the ecosystem are integral to the success of life and a thriving planet. To be God's healing love in the world, we must be this body of Christ who calls us out of our passivity and into participation, into love as action. Maybe we plant trees or a sustainable garden, clean up a beach or a river, put solar panels on our church roof. We take the steps that are before us, learning the melody of our new song. And maybe as we begin to sing this new song together, we will see how in our nurturing, we too are sustained. Where is God calling us? Because we are now on a threshold. And the power of a threshold resounds in the story of the resurrection, speaking of a new world, a new way of being, beyond violence and centered always in love and forgiveness. A new song for all the earth. Let us see through a lens of wholeness and unity. Let us hear with new ears Christ's call to follow me. Believe that your tiny mustard seed matters. Believe that the rains will come. Trust that the sun will nourish. Let us love God and all of God's creation, all of God's people, with all of our hearts, souls, minds, and strength. And we will find liberation, along with the blessing of a bountiful harvest abundance. Just as the Spirit of God swept over the face of the waters in the beginning, the Spirit of God sweeps over and through us now, calling us to sing a new song to the Lord, a song to be sung by all the earth. Author Joyce Rupp offers a prayer that might be the first verse to our new song. Gestating Spirit, your gifts of transformation await me on every threshold. Your life-giving power raised Christ from the bleak tomb. Raise what has died in me. Refresh it with your touch of love. I open the door of my heart to you. I open the door. Through the power of the one who calls us forward even now, may it be so.
Oh, the vapor of it all. It's a chasing of the wind, the substance of the foam, so pale and thin. Let the veil of earth be stretched again. Holy, oh, behold the holy. Trees clap their hands for you, oceans they dance for you. Heaven breathes through humankind. We can feel the intertwine, the beauty of it all, the mystery, the swelling of the voice, the rising sea. Holy, oh, behold the holy. Trees clap their hands for you, oceans they dance for you. You are holy, infinite and holy. A billion suns rise for you, clouds paint the skies for you, mountains stand tall for you, valleys bow down to you, everything rising to sing all our songs to you.
Holy, the impossible and holy. Kings become fools for you, kingdoms to ruins for you. Vapor finds ground in you, music finds sound in you. Everything rising, everything rising, everything rising, everything rising, everything rising. Oh,
That was so beautiful. Thank you. Hi, I'm Val Close, and I am the chair of the Social Justice and Witness Committee here at the church, and also, along with Gwen Gwilym, leading the Green Team. And I want to give you a brief update about where we are and what we've been doing. I don't think I need to tell you the reason why this is important to First Congregational Church. We've been hearing that today. This is a social justice issue. Climate change is a social justice issue that's going to affect us all, but it's going to affect people who are poor with much greater impact. It's going to impact the children of this church and children around the world. So it's something that we all believe are important, and we have begun the steps to address it here. We formed a Green Team in January, and the first thing that we did was to develop an action plan that I'm quite proud of. It's 3 pages long. It's on the website. Please check it out. It's going to guide us through the next few years about the things that we want to have happen. But what have we done since January? That's just 4 months. You've been seeing monthly articles in the Shalom, thanks to Brenda Kamanui, with ideas and suggestions. I think it's leaf blowers coming up next. You've been seeing weekly tips and ideas in our Monday church newsletter, our email, thanks to Stan Payne and Marilyn Flick, with just simple ideas that you can do. We started the process to become recertified as a green business/church with Bring. We did that 12 years ago, but things have changed a lot, so we're starting that process of becoming recertified. I think one of the only churches around that are doing that. We held a plastic recycling event 2 weeks ago that we collected 6 cubic yards of plastic. A cubic yard is like this, and it was tightly packed that we can save that from the landfill. And what was special about it, it was young people, our youth group working with older members of our church, all of you bringing in your plastics. It was a fabulous activity. And 2 carfuls of styrofoam were saved from the landfill. So thank you for that. We've worked with youth to design a logo that you will see around, and you see it in your bulletin now, the beautiful logo that represents the Green Team at FCC. We've come up with many, many slogans that you'll see throughout the year coming out on our materials. And again, that was working with the youth group to do that. We're looking at all aspects of our church. We're looking at the cleaning materials you're using here, the gardening materials that we're using, and trying to assure that a green lens is used through everything that we are doing. We've worked with our endowment team to make sure that we're investing in sound, environmentally sound companies, businesses. And we worked with the church staff today to create the service. We've endorsed the Earth Care Fund, which is a local fund that allows you to offset your carbon footprint if you travel or have other things that you are doing that you'd like to offset that carbon footprint. And the contributions go to the Longtown Watershed and to the Mackenzie River Trust. So there's a link to that also. Our goal is to become a creation justice church through the UCC sometime in the next year, and we'll be coming to you for that approval. So back to why. You all remember the heat dome of June and the smoke that has filled our valleys the last 2 summers. For me, I was so depressed. I just sat in the house and put my headphones on. I couldn't do anything else. But Edward Abbey's words, the antidote to despair is action. And I think that's truly what we're all called to do, is to take those steps. We can't go into despair. And one of my favorite slogans from the youth of our church, the climate is changing, so should we. So I ask you to join the efforts of the Green Team in whatever you can do, small steps every day. Thank you.
Let's all join in singing hymn 32, God of the Sparrow, God of the Whale. Let's sing just the first and last verse, please. The first and last verse. You with me, Barb? Hovering Spirit, holy and here, make us gentle and tender towards your creation. Resuscitate in us the gifts of wonder, amazement, and delight. In our singing of a new song, may we treat with utmost care all you have called good and shown that you love. Amen.